Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Waxwire channel, man. It's been a minute and the 2025 season is over, guys. Congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks, man. We all knew Drake May wasn't going to get the job done, and Seattle was the best team in the playoffs. With that being said, man, it is time to move to 2026, and the big boy has some big boy moves on his mind. I don't really want to waste any time because I know this is going to be a long video, but first and foremost, the most important thing of this off season is going to be buy Panini. Whenever you're at a card show, whenever you're making a deal, buy Panini, Panini, Panini. As we all know, Panini is going to lose the license in April, so there's no more football products. I think they're doing National Treasures. They might be doing Flawless again and Revolution and a couple more, and then that's it. There's no more Panini football for the next 20 years. Now, if you're an OG collector like me, I say OG, it's only been about 20 years. But if you've been collecting for a while, you remember back in the day, it used to be Topps and Panini had the license. You would have Topps Chrome Football, you would have Topps Platinum Football, Topps Prime, all that. You would also have Panini, you would have Crown Royal, you would have Prism. You had all these different products to choose from. And I don't know if that competition kept prices low or maybe it was just the market at the time, but boxes were a lot more affordable back then. Now, granted, this was before the big COVID boom and the prices and the card stock market or whatever you want to call it. This was way before those days. National Treasures was about $400 a box. Topps Chrome Football was about $100 a box for a hobby. The traditional price of a hobby box was about $100. I talk about this all the time because that's just how it used to be. And a lot of people don't realize that. But as time started to move on and Panini got the exclusive license to football and basketball, Top stuff from back in the day started to see a little bit of a resurgence down the line. Now, when I say that, I am not telling you to go out and buy Mega Box Pink Hypers of Aiden O'Connell. That's not what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is that the big names of today's era and products that are no longer going to be made are going to hold a premium. Now, is that just me speculating a little bit of a prediction? Yes, but we're using previous data. I want to ask you a question. What is the most common parallel you can think of in your head? My answer to that question would be a refractor. It's not numbered. It's basically just a base card that's a little bit shiny. But what do we know? These refractors hold premiums. Go and try to buy a PSA 10 Tom Brady refractor from 2013, 2014 Topps Chrome Football. It's not as cheap as you think. Back in the day, those cards used to be $5 cards. Nowadays, I don't know the comps, but they're probably a couple $100. And for some of them, they're probably close to $1,000. I don't know, but when you start going down the lines of parallels, those parallels start to get more rare, then the price starts to go up. I bring this up to say, what has been the most iconic card for any quarterback or any rookie in the past 20 years when it comes to what really sets their market? That answer is going to be their rookie Prism Silver. 9 times out of 10, a very, very good indicator of how a player is performing is going to be the price of their rookie Prism Silver. You could track months and months and years of sales data of Prism Silvers, graded or raw, that'll give you a really good sense of idea of how a player is performing. Now, think to yourself, what's going to happen when these players are performing well, or maybe even mediocre, and they're not making Prism anymore? That's going to be a big deal in my humble opinion. Now, another thing I really want to bring up that I was just kind of thinking about the other day, I was talking to Slab Mania about it. Shout out to Slab Mania, give her a follow. Panini kind of revolutionized the case hit. You know, I don't really know if there was a lot of products or companies that were really pushing the narrative of a case hit before Panini. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because Topps, they don't really do case hits. They do completely odds-based. So if you open up a case of a product, you're not really guaranteed to have a case hit in really anything. With Panini, that's kind of the opposite. Even if you bought a case of Donruss Optic Blasters, that's 20 boxes, you're pretty much guaranteed to see a Rookie Kings or a Sunday Kings, an Uptown or a Downtown, if not, maybe 2 in each case. Also, in my opinion, Topps' inserts and case hits are significantly worse than Panini's. And this is strictly an opinion thing. If you look at Topps cards, they're short prints or whatever, and you enjoy them and you want to collect them, that's perfectly fine. I don't have an issue with that. But in my head, I'm looking at these and I'm thinking to myself, these don't hold a candle to Color Blast. The HFAs are just off-brand downtowns in baseball. They've never done a manga before. Like, bro, Panini had the case hit game in a chokehold. And now they're not going to be made anymore. It's going to be a big deal. These cards are going to hold a premium. And I would highly suggest trying to scoop some up. We need to use a little bit of context when we're talking about this. When I'm telling you to go out and buy Panini, case hits, and all that stuff, I'm not telling you to go buy Malik Willis downtown solely because they don't make downtowns anymore. No, that is not the play. But your legends and highly sought after rookies, I personally believe those downtowns, kabooms, especially mangas, Color Blast, all those things, they are going to hold a very big premium. And in my opinion, I think those are only going to go up in time, especially for the big names. A lot of legendary players already have downtowns and kabooms and all that stuff. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Emmitt Smith, Joe Montana, all these players already have these types of case hits. And those are the types of players that are going to command a market no matter what in 50 years, in 100 years, in 150 years. Now, that might not be the case for Xavier Worthy. If you could put your money with the right names and the right sets and the right case hits at the right price, I think you might see a pretty good ROI down the line. I don't want this video to strictly be investment because we collect for a multitude of different reasons. I'm the type of person that likes to collect cool stuff that I like of players that I like. It don't necessarily have to be Steelers players or have to have played on a team that I am a fan of at one point in time. It doesn't necessarily have to be the case. If I like the card, I think it looks cool, and I like the player, I'll buy it. It's that easy. So if you're somebody like me that doesn't really do a lot of investing, they just kind of collect what they like, maybe this won't be a huge deal to you, but I do want to keep that in the back of your head in case you're thinking about selling your kaboom of your favorite player right now. You might want to pump the brakes on that just a little bit. Now it's time to get a little bit spicy into the meat and potatoes of this video. I want to give you guys my personal top 10 players of who I'm picking up this offseason and who I'm really targeting to add to the PC. We're going to start at 10 and go all the way to 1, 1 being the best, 10 being technically the worst. And we're going to give a couple honorable mentions as well. With that being said, honorable mention number 1 is going to be Brock Bowers, tight end from the University of Georgia, going into his 3rd year with the Raiders. Now, in his rookie year, Brock Bowers was a freak of nature. He really did set the tone from the start. And a lot of people were calling him the best tight end in the league. And I think a lot of people still believe that to this day. And they might not even necessarily be wrong. He's a great player. The only issue I have is Fernando Mendoza is coming to Vegas. There is going to be so much hype around the Raiders this season. If you thought the hype was big last year with the Raiders, people saying they were going to win a division, it's going to be amplified 10 times going into next season. They're going to have the number 1 pick in the draft, probably going to be Fernando Mendoza. They're going to have Genty. They're going to have Bowers. There's going to be a lot of talk about this Max Crosby trade if it happens. There's going to be a lot of media coverage on the Raiders. There's going to be a lot of, can they turn it around for the Raiders? There's going to be a lot of that. And that could be good and it can be bad. It can be good because it's going to draw eyes and attention to the Raiders and Brock Bowers' market. But it's also going to be bad because it's going to drive his prices up. And what do we want to do if we're really considering investing in players? We want to buy low and sell high, or buy low and hold. I just don't know what Brock Bowers' ceiling is, especially with the new quarterback in town, especially with the new running back in town, who he played with last year. But it's going to be a whole new ball game. There's a whole new coaching regime. He's had some injury history. And here's the thing about tight ends. Tight end markets are very slim. Very, very slim. Think about somebody like Darnell Washington for my Steelers. That guy has no market. It came up a little bit, but bro, you can get his autograph for 10, 15 bucks. No one's really clamoring over Darnell Washington. The only tight ends that really have big markets are the all-time great legends. And even then, people like Tony Gonzalez, I can't tell you the last time somebody asked me if I had a Tony Gonzalez card. There's just not a lot of interest there. But Kelsey, Gronk, those type of players are going to always have high demand markets because they're the GOATs. And with Brock Bowers, I don't know, just a little scared. Honorable mention number 2 is going to be Big Ben Roethlisberger, quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I know, Steelers biased this, Steelers biased that, but I do want to make you aware of Big Ben Roethlisberger's market. I think it's a little bit undervalued, and guess what? He's Hall of Fame eligible next year. And if you don't think Big Ben is a first ballot Hall of Famer, you're mistaken. The reason why he's not fully on my list is because I already have a couple of cards of his. I'm always looking to buy more. But if you're looking to get a quick flip in, you might be able to get in on some Ben Roethlisberger cards on the low and then sell when he goes into the Hall of Fame or after his Hall of Fame speech when there's a bunch of media coverage about that. I think that might be a good opportunity for some people. And this isn't biased, but Steelers Nation is one of the biggest fan bases on earth, and Ben Roethlisberger is a 2-time Super Bowl champion. There's not a lot of quarterbacks that can say that. So I think Big Ben will always have a market. Hell, if Terry Bradshaw has a little bit of a market now, Ben Roethlisberger is going to have a market for a pretty long while. All right, now we get into the top 10. Now, spot number 10 is going to be a little bit of a 2-for-1. Coming in at spot number 10 is going to be Cam Ward and Ashton Jeanty. I grouped these players together because I think they're in a little bit of a similar situation, at least to me personally, and I'm going to explain why. Cam Ward was the #1 draft pick coming out of Miami, and he got drafted to the Tennessee Titans, who are kind of, as of late, notoriously just ass. Ever since I became a fan of football, I cannot think of one quarterback that has gone there and really flourished. Maybe Ryan Tannehill, but he had prime Derrick Henry behind him, and he was really the motor that kept that offense running. But it's not all doom and gloom for Cam Ward because he showed flashes of looking really good. He had some really cool highlight plays, and now in the card market, especially the football card market, it's all about hype to a certain extent. And Cam Ward was always getting posted on social media like, oh my God, look what Cam Ward just did, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. And I see the vision. You know, I see the vision. If the Titans can get some offensive weapons in town to pair with DK and Yumanor, a nice running back in the backfield, get Tony Pollard out of town, beef up the offensive line. Granted, this is a lot easier said than done. I think Cam Ward might have an opportunity to flourish in Tennessee. Now, on the other side, let's talk about Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty was a first-round pick coming out of Boise State when he set the world on fire in college. He was one of the most sought-after players coming out of that Bowman class. And of course, he got drafted to the Raiders. Now, the reason why I think Cam Ward and Jeanty are a little bit similar because I think their markets are low-key kind of expensive right now. There's a lot of hype behind both of them, even though it might be dying down just a little bit as we go into the offseason. But I think as time moves on, that hype is going to start to build a little bit. The thing that excites me about Jeanty, though, is that he has the opportunity to be a focal point of a new, young offense with a new head coach and really set the tone next year. Now, you could say the same thing about Bowers, but I just think it's going to be amplified tenfold with Jeanty when you have somebody with his explosiveness and speed on the field. Coming in at number 9 is going to be the MVP of the league, Matthew Stafford, quarterback of the Los Angeles Rams. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, Stafford just won MVP, was a game short of the Super Bowl. Why the hell would I go buy his cards right now? They're going to be through the roof. It's kind of not the case, to be honest. Stafford's market has always been criminally underrated. He's guaranteed Hall of Famer. He just won MVP. He's already won a Super Bowl. And guess what? Next year, they're going to be in the running again for the Super Bowl. And I think there is a little bit of opportunity there to buy some Stafford cheap and sell it in the middle of the season when he's going to be performing great. I don't think Stafford's ever really had like a horrible season before. Maybe one-off in Detroit when he was a little bit younger, but let's be honest, that was Detroit in the early 2000s. Now, you've got McVay, you've got Puka, you've got Devontae Adams, you got Kyron Williams, you got a nice offensive line, you got a good defense. He can really sling the rock. Stafford is on a Hall of Fame trajectory, and I just think it's a good idea to pick up some of his stuff. Coming in at number 8, I think we have to give this kid some flowers. It's going to be Harold Fannin Jr., tight end from the Cleveland Browns. Fannin is a 6'3", 240-pound tight end, and Njoku is leaving town, giving Fannin the keys to the city, the keys to that offense. And I think he's really going to thrive. He had a pretty good season last year. It wasn't off the charts by any means at all. But in the second year, he's getting bigger, he's getting stronger, he's getting faster, and Njoku's not there anymore. I think Harold Fannin is one of my true sleeper picks on this list. A lot of the names on this list are going to be people that are already kind of solidified. When you think about it, Harold Fannin has the opportunity to get out there on the field, shine in an offense, and really flourish on his own. The only issue I have is he's on the Cleveland Browns. They don't really know if Shedeur is going to be the guy moving forward. They've got a new head coach. The receivers are going to be brought into town. There's going to be new faces in town, and I just don't know if Fannon's going to be able to keep up. But I do think he's going to be a solid piece on the Browns for years to come. Now, do I think he's going to have this huge market like other guys do? Probably not, but it might be an opportunity to make a quick buck. All right, for the 7th spot, I've got a little bit of a 1A and 1B position here. I've got Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. To me, they're kind of in the same situation. A little bit. They're both very high talented, speedy running backs out of the backfield that have a legitimate candidacy for Offensive Player of the Year, year in and year out. They're both very popular, well-respected athletes around the league by every fan base, it feels like, unless you're in the division rival. The only issue I have is that the prices at the moment might not leave a lot of wiggle room for it to go up. I mean, they're both solidified stars in the league already, and it's going to be difficult to see that price go up over time if they don't end up being the GOATs of their position. And at the moment, I just don't see a world where that is feasible. I like Jahmyr Gibbs' situation a little bit more than Bijan because Bijan, it doesn't look like he's going to sniff the playoffs for another couple of years, even with the new head coach in town. They're having trouble getting a quarterback. They're having trouble getting the ball to Kyle Pitts and other people. It's just a little bit of a tricky situation. But it does kind of help Bijan because he is the main focus of that offense. The issue with running backs, though, is that their primes tend to have a very short window. So we could be looking at only 2 to 3 more years of very dominant play from both of these athletes. That being said, though, if they both continue to play at a very high level and are still respected, stay out of the drama, stay out of trouble, and they can both be really successful role models and stay very popular in the hobby, you won't really have issues moving their cards at all. They both stayed relatively healthy throughout their seasons, although being very short time in the league so far. They're both drafted in 2023, but if they're staying healthy now, they might stay healthy in the future, and that's going to help. Best ability is availability, especially when it comes to these cards. If you're watching them every week on the TV, there's going to be more people that are intrigued to buy their cards. They're like, oh, I just saw this guy score last week. Oh, this guy plays on my fantasy team. He won me a championship. That is what drives people to buy. I would just be very cautious while buying both of these players because it seems like their ceilings might have already came and went. It might be inevitable that they both kind of fall off in the market. Does that mean that in a year or two they're both going to be completely irrelevant? No, that's not what I mean. But unless Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan Robinson becomes Emmitt Smith, becomes Adrian Peterson, becomes one of those really high top-level guys that will be recognized for decades after they retire, it might not really be worth investing, to be honest. That being said, both really popular players at the moment. If you can get in for cheap, maybe make a quick deal on it, I don't see any issues with it. I think they're really popular, and I think they're going to get the job done next year. Coming in at number 6 is going to be Bryce Young, quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. Now, Bryce Young has had a little bit of a tricky career. He started out kind of shitty, and then the next year it wasn't really a whole lot better. And now, this previous season, he showed flashes. Carolina snuck into the playoffs, even though they were in a really bad division. Tedero McMillan seems to be coming onto his own. Bryce Young seems to be making more plays. The defense looks a little bit improved. The run game was a big part of the offense last year. And if Bryce Young can continue to make strides, he might be the next big boom in the hobby. He's a very likable guy. He went to Alabama. Alabama has a huge fan base. There's a lot of people that are cheering for him, and right now it seems that he's pretty relevant. The issue I have with Bryce Young, though, is that I think he's going to be a really popular pickup for a lot of people. I think his market might be a little overinflated as the offseason progresses. We might have a little bit of a Jaden Daniels situation as where everybody's trying to pick him up. Now, granted, I don't think Bryce Young's hype train is as big as what Jaden's was last year, but it's just something to look out for there. If you're buying Bryce Young as a serious, legitimate investment trying to make money in the long run, I would be a little weary. The guys that tend to really stick out and go up in value significantly are those face of the league guys like Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, those kind of guys. So we're going to need to see a little bit more consistent play from Bryce Young. Now, I do think it is an opportunity to buy in now while his market might be a little bit up, but not quite as up as it could be. But I would just be weary on buying a ton of Bryce Young. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, but with that being said, I don't see Bryce Young as a really bad investment, and he makes my list. At number 5, we're halfway home here. It's going to be Puka Nacua, the standout wide receiver from the Los Angeles Rams. One of the biggest reasons why I decided to put Puka on this list is, of course, he's a great player, but he's starting to get into that little bit of a streaming side of the world, and if he can continue to collaborate with those people and become more and more popular in that space, his card prices might shoot up. As much as we don't like to think about it this way, the card market is in large part a popularity contest. Who's the most popular right now? Who does everybody like right now? And that's why people buy these people. Who are people buying for their kids? Who are people buying for their collections? Stuff like that. So if Puka Nacua can set a amazing level of play on the field and go home and collab on streams or do whatever and get his face in front of the public market even more, his stuff might go nuclear. The reason why he comes in at 5 though is because market is probably already a little too expensive to get in now. Now that it's the offseason, it might be a good opportunity to buy, especially with Stafford still being in town, especially with Devontae Adams still being on the team, taking a little bit of that pressure off from being double teamed all the time. But when you see these high prices for these really talented in the league right now receivers, it just scares me away a little bit. I mean, if you buy a really high dollar Puka Nacua, the only reason it's going to go up over time is if he continues to play at this super, uber high level, probably wins a ring or something like that. Think about Jackson Smith-Njigba. Jackson Smith-Njigba's market was not really that great before this season. Now, all of a sudden, his market has kind of exploded and everybody wants him and everybody's buying, but that's probably the worst time to buy it. When you're thinking about buying these receivers, you got to ask yourself, is this person iconic? Is this person Jerry Rice? Is this person going to be remembered in 50 years? If you're asking that question about Jackson Smith-Njigba right now at this current moment in time, I would have a difficult time answering yes to that question. And the same holds true for Puka Nacua right now. Do I think he's a good buy? Yeah, it just depends on what price you get in on. And remember, the tricky part about buying these really good players that are really good right now, you're going to have to realize they're going to have to keep playing at this really good level for their stuff to keep going up. If they dip off even a little bit, his stuff is going to go down. Think about Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp 2-3 years ago, he had one of the greatest receiving seasons of all time. And he won the Super Bowl, and he won the Super Bowl MVP. Now, you can get Cooper Kupp autographs, RPAs for $40. I would take his teammate as a cautionary tale of how quick somebody's market can dwindle, even if they're still doing great in the league by the standards of the rest of the quote-unquote bums that are there. Coming in at number 4 is going to be my boy Will Howard. Now, again, a little bit of Steelers bias here. I'm picking him up, of course, because he is on my favorite team. Here's what excites me about Will Howard. Number 1, he's already a national champion in Ohio State. Now, I understand that national champions in college football doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be some great NFL quarterback, but I think it holds a little bit of pedigree still in today's league. One of the reasons why I love Will Howard's market right now is that it's so low risk. You can get RPAs of his from products like Phoenix for $40. I mean, I bought one numbered to 49 for $45. That's a steal. I want you to think about the real opportunity Will Howard has here. He hasn't played a single snap in the NFL yet, and if he gets on that field, if he plays one good game next year or the year before for the Pittsburgh Steelers, his stuff will go absolutely nuclear. And I'm not just throwing around hyperbole. I mentioned before that the Steelers have one of the biggest fan bases in the league, and everybody's going to be scrambling to get a new Will Howard. Steelers fans like myself are desperate to have the next franchise quarterback on the team. And now that Aaron Rodgers is in town, he might be coming back for one more year. But after that, what's the plan? What if Rodgers gets hurt again? God forbid we have to watch Mason Rudolph play another snap in Pittsburgh. I'll be honest. Do I know a whole bunch about Will Howard? No. Did I watch him play in college? Yeah. Do I think he's the next Tom Brady? No. But the risk is just so low and the reward is just so high. Why are you not throwing a dart on the dartboard at Will Howard? I'm not telling you to go out and buy $15,000 worth of Will Howard. I'm telling you to go out and buy $100, $200 worth of Will Howard. I'm telling you to go out and buy 2 autographs. That's all I'm telling you. And if he never plays or he gets traded and he just kind of fizzles out, then oh well, you lost $40. But if he plays for the Steelers and he gets on the field and he starts performing even halfway well, that stuff is gonna go through the moon. And God forbid you get yourself in a Ben Roethlisberger situation where the kid ends up winning 2 Super Bowls and is a Hall of Famer. Now we're looking back on this video like this guy's a genius. So I think Will Howard is genuinely one of the smartest buys you can make this offseason in 2025. Coming in at number 3, we've got the New York trifecta between Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterbo, and Malik Neighbors. Now, there's a new sheriff in town in New York, and that is going to be John Harbaugh. the longtime Ravens coach, going into New York with fresh faces. It's going to be Jackson Dart's second year, Scadabo's second year, Malik Neighbors' third year, and a lot of them have been dealing with injuries already, but New York is starting to look scary. They're going to have a high draft pick this year, I believe in the top 5. And I'm not going to lie, when the Giants were healthy and they were playing everybody, even with Brian Daboll and whoever the hell else was their head coach at some point in time last season, they were looking scary. Dart is looking to get active, throw himself out there. Cam Scadaboo just looked like a monster truck on the field. And Malik Neighbors was one of the best receivers in the league. He got hurt really early, so his stuff is really down right now because he hasn't played since like October. The only issue I have to bring up again about Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo is that we're going into this offseason and everybody's already watched them play. Everybody already knows that they were playing good at one point in time during the season, and injury just kind of derailed the season. And everybody already knows that John Harbaugh's in town, so everybody is hyping up the Giants a lot. Now, I believe in them. Do I believe in them enough to go throw $10K on a Jackson Dart card? No, but I also don't have $10K to spend like that, so why am I even asking that question? Jackson Dart will be the chase in 2025 products, even though Cam Ward was the first overall pick. He's going to be what everybody's looking for. He's going to be probably one of the most highest transacted players on the market this offseason. Cam Scadaboo might not be that far behind. I'm not going to lie, Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo being so popular already at this point in their careers and the market being what it is does kind of scare me from buying a ton of them right now. But the reward is just too high. If you look at the eye test and you watch the Giants games, you're like, man, these guys are pretty good. I think it could certainly be worth it to show some attention to these guys and pick up a bunch of their cards this offseason. Coming in at number 2 is going to be the Iceman, Caleb Williams, quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Last year, before the season started, I decided to put my money where my mouth was, and I bought a case hit of Caleb Williams. And guess what? I'm sitting pretty good right now. Caleb Williams, I believe personally, is the best quarterback from the 2024 class. And the 2024 class has a bunch of really good quarterbacks. Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake May. I mean, all these people are going to be coming from that class, but I really believe that Caleb is the chosen one in that class. We've already seen playoff success from Caleb Williams. We're already seeing really high-level moments from Caleb Williams. We're already seeing flashes of greatness, and we're not seeing that with a guy like Drake May. We're just not seeing the highlight reel. We're seeing stats on a piece of paper. Oh, here's the most accurate quarterback in the league. Buddy, that's not going to help me sell my cards. It's just not. Like I said before, if you're getting into this to really start to flip or something like that, this shit is a popularity contest. And right now, Caleb Williams is becoming one of the most popular players in the league. The reason why he's number 2 on my list is that I don't think his market is too far gone. I think there's still money to be made on Caleb Williams. If he can be the franchise quarterback for the Chicago Bears for the next decade, his rookie stuff is going to be massive. I think sometimes people can forget about the Bears and kind of laugh at them from time to time, but people forget that the Bears are one of the biggest markets in the league. They're one of the most storied franchises in the league. Even though they might not have the most Lombardis or the most success, there's a lot of people that root for them. And from what I'm seeing right now, it seems like we're locked into a lot of potential Caleb Williams iconic moments for the future. We're going to get him versus Jordan Love twice a year, maybe even 3 times a year, renewing a storied rivalry between the Bears and the Packers. You're going to get second-year Luther Burden and Colson Loveland in the league. Now, do I believe either one of those players are upper echelon, really high-value players in the league? No, but I think they're better than what they've had in the past, and they still have Cole Kmet to back up. DJ Moore is a really solid weapon in this league, and God forbid they go out and get another one. This team might be looking nasty. By the way, their defense not that shabby either. Now, do I think Caleb Williams is the best quarterback in the league? No, I'm not saying that. Do I think he's the best quarterback in the 2024 class? Yes, I wholeheartedly believe that. And if you agree with me, I think he should potentially be your number 1 most sought after pickup this season. And lastly, coming in at number 1, my most sought after pickup this season is going to be the Offensive Rookie of the Year, Tetairoa McMillan for the Carolina Panthers from the University of Arizona. Now, here's the deal with Tetairoa McMillan. He won the Offensive Rookie of the Year. There's a lot of eyes on him right now. So right now might not be the best time to buy Tet McMillan. The reason why I'm putting him at number 1 is I'm telling you that if you don't have any Tet McMillan right now, you need to get some right now. There's just something about Tet McMillan that screams all-star to me, that screams Pro Bowl, that screams playoff moments, that screams Bryce Young's number 1 option for the next decade. Now, you do need to really be careful when it comes to these wide receivers like this, because I remember at a moment in time, I thought Jalen Waddle was going to be better than Jamar Chase. That sounds crazy to say now, but at the time, it was a legitimate debate. And now, that sounds silly. Jamar Chase is one of the best receivers in the league, and Jalen Waddle's stuff probably sits on the shelf. So I do know that these fall-offs can be drastic when it comes to wide receivers. And he could have a little bit of a sophomore slump. He could get hurt like Malik Neighbors did. There's a lot of ifs. But if everything goes according to plan, Bryce Young improves, Ted improves, they're going to have a really baller season next year. Think about it. This year, they almost came back and beat the Rams in the playoff. The Rams were, without a doubt, the best team in the league, even though they eventually ended up losing to Seattle in the NFC Championship. The Rams were on fire. They had the MVP. They had Puka. They had all those guys on the team. And Carolina almost came back and beat it. It was shocking to watch. Now, do I think Tedderell McMillan is going to be the best receiver in the league in a year or two? I mean, maybe, probably not. But it just gets me excited that he's in such a weak division that Carolina has the opportunity to go into the playoffs year after year, potentially maybe even making a deep run. You just never know what can happen in the NFL. And if Bryce Young continues to improve year after year, Ted McMillan's in a golden situation. There's nobody really vying for his job in Carolina. You had Coker that had a pretty good game in that Rams game. But aside from that, who else are we scared of that's going to take Ted McMillan's job? Tommy Tremble? There's a lot of unknowns when it comes to Tedderell McMillan, and it can be scary buying the Offensive Rookie of the Year or buying a really talented wide receiver that is going into their second year of their career. But I don't know. I just have a hunch. Keep in mind, this is all speculation just from my guy on YouTube. So I could be dead wrong. But this is why we do it. It's fun to talk about who do you think is going to be a good pickup this year. It's fun to talk about who do you think is going to be the best going into the next season. And right now, that's all we have because there's no more football. So there's that. One more thing I want to leave with, your worst possible buy this offseason has to be, without a doubt, Drake May. I'm probably going to get some hate for this one, but I just don't see it. I think people are kind of jumping the gun and forcing this on Drake May. I think Patriots fans that are left over from the Brady era that might be a little bit of a bandwagon are still kind of searching, desperate to win again. And they think Drake May is Tom Brady, and in my personal opinion, I don't think he is. There's a lot of people that are saying that Drake May is going to be back next year, he's going to be better next year. I'm not seeing it. If Bo Nix is healthy in that AFC Championship, I don't think he makes the Super Bowl. Now, then again, I was saying all last year that whoever came out of the NFC was going to win the Super Bowl. I don't think that's like a super hot take or anything, but the NFC Championship was the real Super Bowl last year. I think a lot of people can agree on that, especially now that we watched the actual Super Bowl and Drake May absolutely shit the bed. I don't think people really sit down and think about how hard it is to make a Super Bowl. We were talking about Ben Roethlisberger earlier. Ben Roethlisberger started playing in 2004, and he won Rookie of the Year that year, by the way. He only played in 3 Super Bowls and won 2. And he's considered one of the greatest of all time. Think about that. He played for almost 20 years, and he only played in 3 and won 2. Think about somebody like Patrick Mahomes. A couple years ago, Patrick Mahomes was perceived to be next in line to be the GOAT. And now talks have really kind of slammed shut on that. People are really scared to give Mahomes a lot of praise right now and maybe say that one day he could be the GOAT now. But if you look at his resume, he's already got 3 Super Bowls and I think like 2 or 3 MVPs. If you think Drake May has the capability to do what Mahomes did when he first started playing, I think you're sorely mistaken, and I think you should readjust that. But hey, in the next 5 years, if Drake May is a 2-time Super Bowl champion and he wins next year, I'm going to look stupid and you're going to look smart. So do you, I guess. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment and let me know, who do you think is the best person on this list? Who are you most excited to pick up this year? Is it somebody I didn't name? Maybe somebody like Cooper DeJean or Jalen Hurts or somebody along that line? The beautiful thing about football is that there's so many opportunities. There's so many different ways in the card market to make smart guesses. And the bad part is 9 times out of 10, even though we think it's a smart guess, it's wrong. If you like videos like this, leave a like and subscribe down below. Also, leave a comment as well. You can also follow me on my Instagram, waxwire_. I post a lot of my cool pickups on that page. I don't really like sell or trade a lot on there. It's just something fun to keep in contact. With that being said, I'm SP, and those are my thoughts.